It's not every day you get to see a Slowbro and Rhyperior top cut. Unless it's yesterday, but... Okay. We're back with this top 4 match. Whitney will be back soon. I'm going to solo commentate this to the best of my ability for a little bit. But we do have the matchup between Drew Nowak and Ethan Simpson. This was our round 1 pairing. I'm not sure exactly how the set went, but I do know it was a close set. It went to game 3. But on Drew's side, we see that Slowbro, Rhyperior, Koko, Kartana, Salamence, and Incineroar. And over on the other side, we see Amoonguss, Incineroar, Kartana, Landorus, Latias, and Tapu Fini. It's really cool. I like it. I like the... I really do like the Slowbro versus Latias matchup. I think those are 2 really cool megas. I'm assuming it's a mega because this is the only Pokemon on his team that's capable of mega evolving. But, I mean... Drew's side with the Trick Room option offers a lot of pressure. So, I'd like to see how Ethan comes and plays around that Trick Room option. They're going to start here. And Drew is, I don't know if you guys heard earlier, but Drew is, with the potential of a win today, he is 1 CP off from his Worlds invite, so 399. So we see the leads coming out from Ethan. That's going to be Incineroar, Latias. And from Drew's side, it's going to be Tapu, Koko, Rhyperior. I played Drew yesterday, and he ran this same team. And I know this is a lead he really likes to run because it offers a lot of offensive pressure right off the gate with some support options, obviously, from Tapu Koko that we saw earlier on stream. But his support options around this team, it's really incredible how he plays this matchup. Not just this matchup, but any matchup, and how the team kind of synergizes together really well. So we do see that Latias Mega Evolve, which I was assuming it would. We're going to see the fake out from Incineroar, going to Koko. Then we're going to see Latias just start setting up comm mines. He doesn't seem like he's too worried about the pressure that either one of these Pokemon are going to be offering. And if he is, it's probably Koko. We do see that Rock Z coming out from Rhyperior. At -1, it will be interesting to see what slot this targets. Based off what I know from playing Drew earlier in Swiss, this is going to do a lot of damage to anything. And I'm kind of interested to see if this picks up the knockout, which it easily does onto Incineroar, even at -1. That's really important for Drew. Getting that Intimidator off the field. That way he has things in the back like Kartana and Mence and Incineroar, assuming that the Mence is physical, to come in and kind of just take over and not be really threatened by the Intimidates. I mean, Ethan still does have the potential to have Landorus in the back, but I think it's important to at least stop Ethan from cycling Intimidates. We do see the Detect come out from Kartana and the Electro Web from Koko. So that's kind of the support options, and the Electro Web is cool because Rhyperior does have the ability to learn Lightning Rod, and I'm not exactly, it hasn't been revealed what ability he actually is, but if he is Lightning Rod, it does offer the ability to cover that up and not really show it because Lightning Rod isn't redirected through spread moves like that. So I think that's really cool, and I think that really synergizes really well, and it's kind of fun. Kind of hides your team's information without hiding it, I guess. So we see the Icy Wind come back out. So now it's just neutral. I think that Kartana's the Kartana is definitely the fastest thing on the field. And so the Kartana could be threatening something. I don't know exactly what his spread is, or no, that's what his spread is. He's going to set up Swords Dances. And I think he feels pretty confident in that. The Latias does avoid the Nature's Madness, which is kind of rough. It's unfortunate. That Icy Wind did a lot to Rhyperior. A lot more than I was expecting. Rhyperior is just going to go ahead and Rock Slide. If you're Ethan, you got to feel kind of good in this position because you could easily just Icy Wind, Leaf Blade, whatever in front of you, and something, barring a miss, something dies. I think he's been playing this really well. That Swords Dance is definitely really important. We are going to see that Leaf Blade. He's going to start racking up those Beast Boosts. And this is a scary situation for Drew to be put in. A +3 Kartana with 2 Pokemon back in the back. It depends on what his Pokemon are, but if he doesn't have anything to really check this Kartana, it's going to be tough to. It's going to be tough to come back from this. And we do see, we do see Drew's opposing Kartana come out, which is nice. So here's the situation. Now, I guess we got to see if that Salamence is special or physical, and if it can threaten the knockout onto that Kartana. Or does Ethan protect an Icy Wind to make sure that he outspeeds Drew's Salamence? It's a mind game right now. And I think both players are really trying to think about what the other's game plan is for this.
So in their earlier set, we did that than Drew's Salamence, and so that can definitely play a role here, unless there's some sort of speed control going on. I just came in really not sure what's going on.
So Ethan's Kartana is at +3. It Swords Dance and then picked up the knockout on Koko with Leaf Blade, and then Rhyperior died to Icy Wind. So right now, I think these two Pokemon are sitting at neutral speed. Drew's Kartana is at +1, Ethan's is at +3.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of speed ties right now.
Gotcha.
Between
So
those
the Kartana speed tie here is going to be probably the most crucial because this Tapu Fini not going to be able to survive an attack from Drew's Kartana, as the Leaf Blade, the Double Edge into Kartana.
Wow.
And also hitting that Sacred Sword to pick up the KO. We will see if the Icy goes out, if it will be enough. However, blast into Salamence, we'll be able to pick up the KO there, but Tapu Fini is going to be helpless against this Kartana. So it looks like Drew's going to be taking game 1.
Yeah, that's interesting. I said there was a speed tie, but I actually don't know if they speed tie at all. I just mostly assume that most Kartanas are 252, but I know a lot of people have been running bulkier, slower versions. That way they could live more things, but that was a good game. I think that was a fun set to watch.
Yeah, their round 1 set was just really incredible, so I'm super pleased to get this grudge match going as well. These guys, this is their 4th time that they've played each other today, or not today, but this is the 4th set that they've played this weekend. They played in Swiss in the midseason yesterday and in so.
And I'm not sure if they played in the PC, but I would have liked to see that.
So yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
So going through team preview, one thing that has really stood out to me is these two players like switching around and everything in order to maintain proper momentum, and speed control has been super. In their set earlier, Ethan was able to very effectively prevent Trick from coming up to maintain the speed advantage, which was ultimately what allowed him to set, which was really important to maintain that speed control. And so I'm sure he's looking at how to do so now, because those speed ties, Kartana have, I mean, maybe it's not a speed tie because I seem to recall that he's lost every one, and so just that speed tier, the way it is, has been really crucial for him. And those Kartana mirrors, you got to hit first.
If it's any indication of what Ethan was running yesterday, I don't think it's max speed, but obviously I could be wrong in that sense. So
yeah, so this lead of Tapu Koko and Slowbro is really effective at getting Trick Room up, because this Tapu Koko running Skydrop, it's able to kind of remove anything that Ethan has to try and prevent the Trick Room from coming up. And so like a Skydrop into Incineroar to prevent a taunt can be really big. But at least for this turn, Ethan does have fake out pressure, so he can for at least one turn.
yeah, Ethan could do something like fake out Calm Mind, fake out Icy Wind. It's just up to... he has a lot of options here. He'd go for the taunt if he really feels like that Slowbro is going to Mega Evolve. I'm interested to see what Ethan does with this.
So rather than trying to set up Trick Room right now, we do see Drew going ahead and switching in this Rhyperior. So Rhyperior, when not having the speed advantage, isn't going to be able to pull off these big attacks as easily. However, because it is so, it can take a couple hits and fine. So then, not even worried about Trick Room coming up. You know, what a gutsy play right there. Just like faking out the Koko and then going for a mind. Really good play to make there. It turned out very well. However, this Tapu Koko, still faster than Latias, could Skydrop it, prevent it from moving for a turn. So there's a lot that Drew has at his disposal right now.
We did see Nature's Madness revealed last game. It did miss, but something like a Nature's Madness Z, Rock Z into Latias might be something that Drew could consider. Or, I mean, just going for the Rock Z on Incineroar and picking it up. It just depends on what he chooses to do. He just Volt switched out of here, but...
Oh, wow. So, I do wonder if Drew meant to go for that Volt switch there, or forgetting that he had that Lightning Rod available. Yeah. So that's a really unfortunate turn for him, and good turn defense for Ethan, getting that Icy Wind down. So now he's going to be faster than that Tapu Koko with both his Latias and with his his Kartana. And Kartana is threatening huge damage on this Rhyperior. You know, Rhyperior can't sleep on that threat. Meanwhile, Tapu Koko is in no position to be taking a double target from Latias and Kartana. So we do see Incineroar coming in here. That's going to be a really important intimidate on this Kartana, trying to help it survive, as we see Psyshock going into the Tapu Koko at +1. That's going to deal a ton of damage, leaving it with just 25 HP as Leaf Blade picks up the KO. And so that's a really good KO to take, because that's going to help. That removes one of the best ways that Drew has to support setting Trick Room. However, with Incineroar out, Fake Out is active. He has that potential, and so Slowbro, you know, is in a safe position to set up Trick Room this turn.
Yeah, I think faking out and then just Mega Evolving and Trick Rooming is probably in Drew's best interest.
Right, it's a nearly unpunishable right now. So we do see Ethan's Incineroar coming in here. That's going to get an Intimidate on Drew's Incineroar, and it also gives him Fake Out on the next turn to help stall out these Trick Room turns.
I had flashbacks to 17, volt switching into my own Marowak. I've done that a couple times. I understand how he feels right there.
Yeah, so we do see the fake out into so Kartana not able to get any damage. However, with Slowbro's massive 180 defense as a Mega Slowbro, it's able to survive the Leaf Blade from Kartana at new, which is really horrifying, honestly. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, no water type Pokemon has any business surviving that so well. So we do see fake out coming from Ethan's side of the field into Drew's Incineroar, which is going to be a good move. And it looks like we're seeing fighting now, all out pummeling, and that's going to do a huge chunk of damage to this Incineroar on Drew's side of the field.
yeah. At neutral, I'm not exactly sure of the calc, but with some chip, I don't see Incineroar living this.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so throwing all those feet fist at Incineroar for a super effective attack, it does pick up the KO, and that is a huge KO. So right now, Trick Room is active, and Rhyperior is about to step on the field. Rhyperior with very high attack, and it's still got its Z move available to it. But Ethan is playing a 4v2. He can attack what's in front of him. He can switch appropriately. He doesn't need to worry about Drew out switching him, whatever. So he does have quite a bit of counterplay options here.
Yeah, and I think Drew could go for something just like a Scald Rock Z into both of the targets. I think that Rock Z is going to do a huge amount of damage to whatever comes in the back anyways, so.
Absolutely. So this Tapu Fini coming in, if it's taking a Rock Z, it's probably going to be leaving. Not surprised to see Kartana disappear, given the damage that Scald did to it earlier. That would have been enough to KO. And we see Rhyperior wanting to preserve its Z move, just going for a Rock Slide, getting some chip damage down. Deals respectable damage to that Tapu Fini to really start slowly wearing it down.
Yeah, if you're Drew, you really got to think about that Latias in the back. And that Incineroar, we did see it knock out Incineroar game 1 at -1, so preserving that Z move to be able to knock it out later is important here, I think.
Right, so Ethan's really got to be careful. He needs to, stall out this Trick Room and not take too much damage doing it. That way he's got the Pokemon he needs to finish the game once Trick Room is over. So we're kind of looking at right now, he could just be taking a ton of damage. Nothing's going to be able to switch in on this Roxy. So if he gets the switch wrong, loses a Pokemon, essentially. So it's a really high-risk turn. He wants to preserve this Kartana, goes ahead, brings in his Incineroar. We'll see where this Roxy goes into. Wouldn't be surprised to see just another Rock Slide, again trying to preserve it, as Scald does connect with that Incineroar. Super effective damage, but at least it's not KOing the Kartana. So we do see this Z move coming out. After Intimidate, it'll be easily able to pick up the KO on Incineroar. Not sure what the calc is going to be on this Tapu Fini, though.
Yeah, depending on how this Fini's trained, it's going to be interesting. Continental Crush.
But it is going into Incineroar, so picking up that KO there, Ethan's not going to be able to continue cycling Intimidates as he probably would have wanted to be able to. But this Muddy Water coming out, that's going to be 4 times super effective against this Rhyperior. Picks up the KO there, and so that is a really big KO and an accuracy drop on this Slowbro just for adding insult to injury.
Oh. This Slowbro has a really uphill battle from here on out, and it looks like Drew's going to just go ahead and forfeit this match.
Like, it could take a KO on this Kartana, but it's going to take a lot of damage. There's really not a whole lot slow, especially just clicking Scald against 2 resisted Pokemon. It would have been a battle of attrition. So Drew, I think, making the right decision here, going, accepting this game as a loss and getting ready for Game 3.
Yeah, no need to give up more information. I mean, I don't know how much more information you couldn't know after playing each other 4 times in 2 days.
Exactly. This is like their 10th individual game over the course of this weekend, so they know each other fairly well, at least their play style.
And I do know Ethan switched his team up from yesterday, and from what I see, Drew hasn't. But like at this point, I think that Drew's a smart enough player, and he's been around the game enough to know what he needs to know.
Exactly.
And he probably knew that at the end of game 2 in their first set.
So yeah, I don't want to this up too much because for the most part there's been really good plays from both sides.
Oh yeah.
But kind of the key turn there was when Drew went for that volt switch with his Rhyperior out. It could have been just a misclick. He could have just forgot about Lightning Rod. I've done it hundreds of times with Marowaks before, so I totally get it. But that individual turn really gave Ethan a lot of momentum and was really unfortunate. So, Drew's got a good shot here if he plays cleanly and continues to play as well as he's capable of doing. So here we go. This is our last match between these two players for the weekend. There's a lot riding on this. Drew is really fighting to win this tournament because the points are going to get him so close to a world championship, which is going to be huge. So leading with a Rhyperior and Tapu Koko versus Incineroar and Latias. So this Rhyperior, again, it's taken an Intimidate, but it is massively threatening that Incineroar with this Rock Z.
These are the same leads we saw in game 1, and in that game 1 we did see Incineroar just fake out, and then Latias and Koko went for Electro Web and Icy Wind. So I mean, there's a chance we see the same situation play out here. I think it helps both sides. I think it helps Ethan out a little bit more because you do have that Kartana in the back. So if you can get that Koko to -1 speed, that Kartana can kind of just come in and take over if it wants to.
Absolutely. So we see no switching out this turn. However, Ethan decides to go after this Tapu Koko rather than faking out the Rhyperior, choosing to get this Icy Wind down to try and give himself an advantage speed-wise versus this Tapu Koko. And we do see Rock Slide coming out here, not wanting to bust that Z move prematurely, perhaps anticipating a switch, or just not wanting to burn it, at the wrong time.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why Drew didn't opt for the Z move right there. I mean, maybe he just wanted to, maybe he assumed he was going to get faked out and he wanted to. I have no clue, but I mean, still in a good situation. You don't want that Kartana to come in, especially when that Koko's at -1.
Exactly. You don't want to take a KO that you don't need to. So the Psyshock into Tapu Koko doesn't deal quite enough damage. We'll see if a Flare Blitz following it will be able to pick up the KO or not. So the Flare Blitz coming into the Tapu Koko, and it is enough to pick up the KO, but we'll see what Drew has done in response. And now we do see this big Z move coming out. This is going to KO either one of the targets that Drew has picked for it, and this is going to be really crucial for how this game plays out. So the Z move going into the Latias is going to pick up a KO, and that's going to be big because now Latias has the ability to spread these Icy Winds around, which is going to be crucial for Ethan if Drew has that Kartana or Salamence coming out in the back. So both players picking which Pokemon to come. Kartana, for either one of them, is honestly in a really solid position, picking KOs for whatever's coming on the field. Ethan's got to be a little relieved at least to have removed that Tapu Koko. Doesn't have to fear Sky Drops or Electro anymore. And so that can help him. He does carry Taunt on his Incineroar, and so Incineroar being able to commit Trick Room is going to be really important. So Drew is bringing in his Salamence, as Ethan is playing Tapu Fini. So I got to give this current situation looks to be in Ethan's favor. Tapu Fini threatening both of these Pokemon very heavily. Muddy Water, Icy Wind, Moonblast potentially. Ethan can kind of pick and choose what he feels like he needs to do. And since Rhyperior doesn't have that Z move available anymore, it's a lot less threatening, at least to that Tapu Fini.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure how much damage Double Edge does do to Tapu Fini, but or if it can even live a Moonblast. But something you could potentially do is try and Double Edge, Rock Slide, or just opt for that. Just kill the Incineroar.
We do see that Double Edge into that Incineroar. An important KO as Moonblast is coming into this Salamence. I believe after the it's not quite enough.
Ooh,
as Rockwrecker coming out
connects,
but after Intimidate, it just doesn't deal quite enough damage. So this is going to give Ethan a really strong position, because at least for one turn, that Rhyperior is going to have to recharge. Rockwrecker, of course, being essentially a rock-type version of Hyper Beam or Giga Impact, very high base power, but causes the Pokemon to recharge for a turn. So this Kartana is in a very strong position. We saw last game, it's able to survive a Double Edge from the Salamence, and it could just snipe this Rhyperior for a free boost if it wants to. But then again, we're going to have to see what the last Pokemon on Drew's side of the field is, as this Double Edge is connecting with the Kartana. Doesn't pick up the KO, but does KO the Salamence in return. So Sacred Sword coming out here into Rhyperior doesn't pick up the KO. A little surprised to have not seen a Leaf Blade, but I think maybe Ethan didn't realized that Rhyperior is not able to switch on, but it needs to recharge as well. So potentially looking to pick up a KO onto a Kartana switch in, it could. So this Kartana coming in now, it's in a threatening position. It can only KO one Pokemon at a time. So it's really going to depend on, one, if there's a speed tie here, that's going to be really important. Two, if Ethan predicts correctly, protects the right Pokemon, that can put him in a good position as well. So we do see Ethan's Kartana go for Detect, hoping that Sacred the Kartana, and it is. So Tapu Fini is getting a free Muddy Water here.
That's huge.
So that's a really, really big Muddy Water. Not going to be enough to 2-hit KO, but it does get an accuracy drop, which will play an important role here, because if this Kartana misses too many moves, that's just free damage that Ethan's able to fire off at it.
Assuming that there's no speed tie, I think if Drew Sacred Swords and can connect on a Leaf Blade, I mean, he's in good position, but I mean, you can never really rely on connecting on a Leaf Blade, especially after an Ag Drop like that.
Yeah, for sure. So we do see Drew's Kartana get the KO on Ethan's, and Moonblast is coming out. That's going to be a little bit more powerful than that Muddy Water earlier, and a big special attack drop that's really going to limit the... Oh, what am I saying? Come on. So now this comes down to, will that accuracy drop play a difference in this match?
Monka S. This is... Okay, so he protects. I mean, that's fair.
So not a bad call. Just protect, see what's going on. But really, it just comes down to, if this connects, this game's over. If it doesn't connect, the Moonblast will, and the game's still over. So Leaf Blade coming out, it does connect, and Drew's going to the finals of this mid-season showdown.
Oh, Act Drops make my heart race. Like, they make my hands so sweaty.
Oh, for sure. So what a well-played game by both players, Just that Kartana was so crucial, and being able to pick up KO on Ethan's Kartana before taking a Sacred Sword was super, super important. So we'll be seeing Drew in the finals of this midseason showdown, playing against Leonard Kraft. Drew, if he wins, will have won all 3 events in the Kansas City area this weekend. And you know what? That's the triple crown. That's what he's trying to do today.
I will point out, Drew is not on the local meta leaderboard. He's gotten at least 100 CP so far, 105, with the
Absolutely
potential more. So
40 points per second. If he got 50 points yesterday, the mid-season, 15 at the Premier Challenge. So yeah, he's sitting at 105 points for the weekend. I mean, honestly, that's the same amount of CP you get for a good showing at regionals. So
oh yeah.
Drew's really he's already made a name for himself as a great player, but he's really showing exactly why he is so good, why he's deserved to win 3 regionals, make deep runs at once. So I'm really excited for this finals match. This is going to be incredible. There's been a lot of good Pokemon today. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to take a couple of minutes to get set up, and we'll be back with your finals. Drew Nowak versus Leonard Kraft III.